Hi, hello, namaskar. What's up, everybody? This is Shubham Thakur here, and welcome to Shubham Thakur's Live. After a very long time, I'm doing this session, and today I'm going to be discussing on the topic how to control our thoughts with a personality, with an amazing personality, a mental health expert, a founder of Erika Shepard Healing and Coaching. Here I'm welcoming Miss Erika Shepard from North Carolina, USA. Hello, Erika. Welcome. Welcome to Shubham Thakur's Live.
Hello, Shubham. How are you?
I'm good. But what about you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So first of all, audience and especially I was really excited to have you and to have your views on the topic how to control our thoughts because it's one of the major problem in the world right now. So yeah, I'm so excited to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so let's start this session. So the very first question which I'm going to ask you is that could you please give a brief about yours and your journey of life?
Yeah, my journey thus far. So real quick, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, very good. So my journey is a long one, but I grew up in Ohio in the United States. I went
Oh,
to college and became a nurse, and I worked as a psychiatric nurse for about 6 years and was a nurse and
okay.
nurse practitioner for almost a decade. And I gained a very deep appreciation for mental health and well-being in my professional life, but then also in my personal life. Growing up, I, experienced a lot, as many of us do, and I suffered previously from chronic anxiety and stress and body
Yeah.
image issues. And so it's been my own personal healing journey as well that I'm very passionate about the issue of control, because all of that is rooted in control from my personal
Yeah.
life and then also my professional life.
Yeah, that's incredible. And one of the major question is that why do you choose to become a mental health expert? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Mental health affects every facet of our lives. I truly believe it's foundational to overall health and well-being. And
Yeah.
no matter what area of health I went into as a professional, I always saw that mental and emotional health were key components to the problem that was going on. And so it was for me a big like aha, we really need to address this, and everything's important.
Yeah.
We really
Yeah.
need to address this. And also, I grew up in a family with a lot of mental health issues. And I think
Okay.
there's just a personal aspect there for me and a big heart, because, these family members that I had did not, um, they suffered a lot and they fell through the cracks in a broken mental health system. And so I think there was just a big heart for me to help transform that in some way, shape, or form so that didn't have to happen.
Yeah, so that quite kind of a thing, but let's proceed further. Is
Yes.
the very yeah. So the topic which we I discussed, which I said is how to control our thoughts. You know, it's one of the major problems right now, and even there are so many people who are sitting idle, especially in the COVID situation in lockdown, and they are having the mental health issues, and people are really suffering from it. So, what do you think? Or what? How to deal with that? Yeah,
Controlling thoughts. So when I work with clients and,
yeah,
we're working on the issue of controlling thoughts, the first thing I tell all my clients is that we have to come to terms with the fact that these are just thoughts and they're
yes,
not you. They're not like who you are, but to accept them as visitors almost, that they're just that. When you can start to separate yourself from your thoughts,
yeah,
then you can start engaging in the process of being in control of how you handle your thoughts instead of your thoughts controlling you and your emotions and how you react to things. Because a lot of times what happens is when we identify with our thoughts and
Yeah.
thinking, oh, this is who I am, this is strictly from me, there must be something wrong with me, we can get into a cycle of shame about it. We can get into a cycle of anxiety with our thoughts. But once you recognize, I am not my thoughts, this is not who I am, and it's easier to detach from them and just let them come and go. So
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in not attaching ourselves to our thoughts. That's always the first step in controlling thoughts. The second thing is to not actually control your thoughts. If you're
Okay.
trying to be like, stop coming in, like don't
Yes.
do that, you're going to be giving yourself a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress by trying to manipulate and control the thoughts. So my invitation instead is to just watch the thoughts come and go. Like don't attach to them, just let them come and go. And then when they do come, you have the power to accept the thought as truth, or
Yeah.
the power to say that does not serve me and I want to reframe it. And you have the power to transform the thought into something that serves you. So I'm not big into trying to suppress the thought, but to simply allow it to come in, accept it for what it is, and then use your power to transform the thought into something that serves you higher, that's more positive, that gives you more of the outcome you desire.
Yeah, but that was a really, really grateful answer, and but it's seemed like that it's kind of hard to do it because this is must be because of self-awareness and the issues which we are facing, but we are not aware of that. And a certain level of point, we are like, okay, just thoughts are coming, let's let it be, let it be, let it be, and then you get used to it. So it's like that, right? So yeah, so especially that my kind of person, and there are so many of like just like me who are living in future instead of living in present moment. So
Yeah,
how to live in the present moment and be the that be in the present. Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, I see my friend Jill joined. Hello. So living in the present moment, that piggybacks off of what I was just talking about. It really is. You're saying it's hard to transform those thoughts when you've been doing that for
Hmm.
so long. And that is true when that is the muscle you've built. You've flexed this muscle of worry so much that now you have these bulging muscles of worry. This is all a metaphor,
Yeah.
obviously, in your head. And what I'm here to say is that you can let those muscles atrophy and start building muscle around reframing thoughts, and then also living in the present moment, because being future oriented a lot of times is a trauma response. There's some
Okay.
sort of trauma, and to always try to be prepared for the other shoe to drop. And so you're trying to get ahead when really it's a trauma response, and it's not, you're never going to be prepared, right, for the future. And the future is malleable, okay, and a lot of it's out of our control, right? So with that, it's understanding that we have to flex the muscles in our brain and our nervous system to keep showing up every day to practice presence. That can be through meditation, that can be through being out in nature, that can be through journaling, through yoga, through just, again, getting involved in activities and practices and habits that keep you here in the now, not in the past, not in the future, right, of the what ifs,
Yeah.
but keeping you grounded here and now. And the more you practice it, the more, because our nervous system is malleable and you can change it, and the science has
Yeah.
shown this over and over again, that you can rewire your brain and your nervous system to be more in that calmer state of the calmer nervous system, the sympathetic or the
Yeah.
parasympathetic system, versus the sympathetic flight or fight nervous system. So really, it's nothing that happens overnight. And I have to say that to people, because people want the quick fix and they want the now, right? And some
yeah,
people are in such crisis that they do need therapies and maybe some temporary herbs or medications to help assist with
yeah,
bringing things down if things are in such crisis, right? While you're learning
yeah,
these techniques. And that's valid, and I totally get that and understand that. But for the long-term fix, you have to be dedicated to being like, I want to reprogram my nervous system to be in that
yeah.
presence, in that now, and get used to that.
Yeah, that was really helpful. And I think I should meditate a lot because I did nothing. I wake up in the morning, I just read books, some life-changing books, and I think that's all. But I need to do meditation, right?
Right.
So there's one more thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's one more thing which I think everyone is facing is that their fears. So how to overcome the fears which are holding you back in for doing something or for doing something and achieving more in life. Yeah.
Absolutely. We also have a question down here. How should one stay calm in a very disturbing situation? So I want to tie those two with the fear. Like, how do we deal with our fears? How do we deal with being in a disturbing
Yeah.
situation? And it's a
Yeah.
really good question. Fear, I believe, there's so many. Let me take a step back. There's a lot of negative press around fear. Like, people are like,
Yes.
screw fear, like, forget fear. I'm not going to let fear overtake me. And I get where that's coming from. But I do believe fear serves a purpose. But again, it comes down to, do we let it control us, or do we allow it to just be what it is and us then be in
Yeah.
control of it? So with that being said, fear, I believe, shows us caution. It shows us to slow down and take a look first and just
Yeah.
utilize it as the tool, is to slow down, assess. But ultimately, if the fear is not showing us an actual danger or threat, that's whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual threat, then
Yeah.
we don't let that. We have to just, again, acknowledge it for what it is, feel it, but allow ourselves to be brave and go past that, so that it's not the fear that stopped us. It's, if it was an actual event that was legitimately dangerous, and it's like, thank you, fear, for showing me
Yeah.
that and protecting me, right? Thank you for showing me that. So I don't want to throw fear out. Like, if a car is coming towards you head on, I don't want you to be like, oh, that's love and light and zen. Like, get the heck out of the way, right? like
Yeah.
move, So with that, the fear again is a tool, just like our thoughts are a tool. Our emotions are a
Yeah.
tool to connect with ourselves on the deepest level. So it's recognizing fear as just that. It's a messenger. It's telling us a story. All our emotions are telling us a story. And am I going to give this power? Is this legitimate? Or do I allow myself to see past that in a bigger picture and allow myself to just move through the fear and then go to the next thing? It's really an art to be able to again, not allow fear to control us. We're not taught that.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to deal with fear, and so we get paralyzed in it and then
Yes.
stuck and not knowing how to get past the next step instead of utilizing it for our highest and best interests.
Yes. Yeah. That's very helpful. And there's one question from Rishabh. Is that as a can you see the question? Is that as a psychiatrist, do you believe in paranormal activities? I think
Okay,
that's the
just
question.
clarifying that I'm not a
Yeah.
psychiatrist. I'm a mental health nurse by trade. So just putting that out there. So
Yeah.
mental health professional in that way. But that I get where it's coming from. Do I believe in paranormal activities? I'm a deeply spiritual person, and
Yeah.
that there is a deeply spiritual component to mental health and emotional health. And so it's a big realm that I'm not like, oh, for sure, right? But I do believe that, there's a whole universe out there and energies, and I believe that, our spirits don't, when our bodies die, our spirits don't die.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that there is this whole other ethereal realm that is just a mystery, right? So that's,
Yeah.
I that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, yeah, that was a very good answer. And one problem which I face, and I really want an answer for that, is that how to stop racing your mind when you are trying, but your mind won't let up. See,
Sure.
so as you know that I do some of various session, the panel discussion, as we did, as I did with you last session, the panel discussion. And after all, there are so many things which I deal myself personally. So I won't get take some of my time to uh, to stay calm and to give rest to my mind. So when I go to sleep, so I sleep 12 a.m. A day, and 12 at night. And after that, when I lay down on the bed, I sleep exactly after 1.5 hours,
Okay.
just because my mind doesn't stop thinking, and I still want to control it, but I can't. So what to do? Yeah,
What to do? Yes.
yeah,
And so, first of all, for helping, again, slow down thoughts, you want to recognize your mind is a tool, and that it's learning how to control it and not the other way around. And
yeah,
what I mean by control it, it means that you are you are in power of it and not having power over you. So because I
yes,
want to be very careful about the word control, but like you are in control of yourself, your mind is not in control of you, if that makes sense. So how I do
yeah,
that for myself, because I resonate with that deeply. I used to struggle with the same problems,
yeah.
and it's like this: you're learning to walk the dog and not let the dog walk you. And
Oh,
so
yes,
what you do that is a lot of times is through breathing, and slowing down. Like I have to tell myself, slow down, slow down. Like stop whatever I'm doing. And you have to
yeah,
practice the art of slowing down. And a lot of power is in through our how we're breathing. If you're breathing,
yeah.
if you when you breathe, if your chest is expanding first before your belly, that
Yeah.
means you're trauma breathing. It's
Okay.
it's so you have to breathe first into your lower belly and create a big Buddha belly, then your ribs, and then your chest. And then when you
Okay.
exhale, it's breathing out through your chest, then your ribs, then your belly. Okay? Because if
Yeah.
not, your nervous system is going to think you're in fight or flight. And based on the way you're breathing.
Yeah.
And it just gives feedback to each other. It's like your nervous system is telling your breathing to do that, but then also your breathing is telling um, your body, or sorry, your nervous system to keep in that pattern. So
Yeah.
take control of your breath, allowing
Yeah.
thoughts to just come and go, like
Okay.
erasing, just letting it come and go and come and go. And then that way it helps to start to release that frenetic energy within you to help start to slow down your mind.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like even for myself, I will say, I know, mind, you're trying so hard to keep me safe, but I'm safe and thank you.
Uh,
Because we get
and
those
so,
we get into those racing thoughts out of fear of
yeah.
something bad happening, or trying to be ahead, or trying to make the money, or trying to, we're in this go, go, go for a reason. And so it's honoring to what is that reason for you? What is that reason for me? And uh, acknowledging it and letting it go and reassuring your body that you're safe.
Yeah. It's like it's really shift from topic to topic, and it really I don't know when time goes, and as I just now I'm gonna do that. As you said, I will say it into my mind that just calm down or get the hell out of here. So it will be a lot easier.
Yes. So
So
my invitation though is to not be cruel to our minds, because they are trying to help us. So
yeah.
it's like I thank you for, again, it's like in this acknowledgement of gratitude of like, because the more you try to push it away, the harder it's going to try to push through.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so the more you just acknowledge, hey, slow down, we're safe, it's okay.
Yeah. So today I was reading an article, and I found found a term called art of surrender. So so could you please let me know what it is?
Yeah, the art is surrendering. This is something I've
Yeah.
actively working on myself, so I
Yeah.
resonate with it. So to surrender is to let go of thinking we have control over
Yeah.
anything outside of ourselves. We only have control of ourselves and how we move through life and move through the world and move through what is out of our control. Okay.
Yes.
But we have to recognize in that position we are powerful, but you still surrender to the greater power and life force that's out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If any of you are, religious, that's fine. If you're not religious, this all ties in whether you're religious or not, or believe in a higher power. But recognizing that there is a force greater than ourselves out there. Call it whatever you will. It's an energy. It's whatever. And this whole flow of life, I think of life like a river, and you're going down the river like on a boat or on a tube, and you just need to go with the flow of the river. Like you have your paddle, and you are in control of maybe which river you go down, and you know what I mean, and like maybe going a little bit more this way or a little bit more that way. But the more we resist the flow of life, the harder life becomes. And one of the things that helps me in my art of surrendering is I have a deep belief. And whatever you believe is your choice. Here's the thing, beliefs you can choose. Okay? So is the belief that life is happening for me. Life is not happening to me. Life is happening for me. And once I adhere to that belief, I am now in control of me. And I am also now have the power back that I'm not a victim of life. Life is happening for me. So that which is out of my control, and even when things seem really bad, like I look back at my life 3 years ago and it was crazy what was happening. And at the time, it seemed like the worst things in the world, but they ended up being the best things that ever happened to me because I allowed them to be. I allowed them to be, and I took that power and I took that for myself. So I wasn't controlling what was outside of me to make me feel better. I adhered to the belief that life is happening for me. I embraced that, and I took my own power and controlled myself in the situation. Ended up being the best things that ever happened to me. So surrendering does not mean giving away your power. It's quite the opposite. It's taking it back, because you were never in control anyways, and it's not your job or your power to control what's outside of you. So surrendering means to surrender to that force, recognizing it's safe, and to just control yourself in that surrender.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And you are very powerful, right? Your story and the journey of your life is really fascinating, because I really got to learn so many important things right now. So thank you so much for that. And the next question is that we talked about the energy of control and the energy of surrender. So what do you think that how energy of surrender much accomplish much more than the energy of control? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's much more powerful, right? Because there's actually a really good book called Power versus Force. And it talks about the difference between having true power over forcing something, right? So surrendering is true power, and control is trying to force something. And when you're trying to force something, you're giving your power away. When you're trying to control, you're giving outside of you. You're giving your power away. That's energy lost. It's like, think about rowing upriver and trying to control the river around you. That's what controlling outside of yourself is like, is trying to control the flow of the river. That's a lot of energy. So that's another energy gone, right? Where if I'm in my boat and I'm just paddling and using my own and trusting the river and letting it go, that's so much more energy efficient, and you're not just like bleeding energy out of you or worry or anxiety or stress, right? And I'm not saying it's easy at first if you're not in this practice or habit. It is not. Anytime you make a change, it requires a big shift within us, and that initial change can require more energy expenditure at first, but in the long term, it's so much more sustainable. As someone who's gone from trying to be in control of everything, I was trying to be in control of everything outside of myself. And then it manifested in things like body image issues and body dysmorphia and
Yeah.
it manifested in chronic anxiety and stress. And the root of all those issues was trying to be in control.
Yeah.
So when I learned how to surrender, when I got into learning how tools to be the master of my mind and not the other way around, that it's this freedom. Like, you can't, I'm not stressed anymore. I rarely get anxious unless the car is coming at me and I need to get out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, very
Yeah.
split
Yeah.
moments,
I
like not
understand.
all the time, not all the time. And with that also, it's just this peace, this deep inner peace and presence that I would never go back to the other way. So I highly recommend all of us consider that the root of your problems in many cases is control.
Yeah.
And the feeling the need to control that which is outside of you, and to engage in a healing process, which I can help with anywhere in the world. So if any of you are thinking about it, just letting you know, but letting go of that control so that you can be free in your life and just enjoy it for the ride.
Yeah. That was amazing answer, and I think it will help a lot better. And the way you explain the power and the pose, it's uh, uh, it's gonna really help the other people, especially me. So,
I'm
so
glad you
you
are.
know, yeah. So there's one more problem which I was facing. I think almost for 10 years. I'm sorry to say, I may get emotional while asking this question because it happened to me. So I want to talk about the obsessive compulsive disorder, aka the OCD. So what is it and how to deal with that? I really need an answer for that because I'm trying so hard. At the age of 14, I realized that I have a problem, that I have that kind of problem, but still I'm not able to figure it out, and I'm not I'm not getting rid out of it. So yeah, could you please tell me how to deal with that?
Sure. And then also, real quick, Shubham, I know we have some questions from the audience. Do we have some time afterwards to answer those questions?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to let the audience know we will answer your questions after I answer Shubham's questions. So thank you for your patience and for participating. So with that, obsessive compulsive disorder affects a lot of people, a lot more people than we realize, I truly believe. But it's a brain pattern that develops over time. So it's not like, again, who you are, but it's a brain pattern that develops over time to cope with uncomfortable anxiety, stress, and energy, usually
Yes,
developed from a stressful situation or trauma. And that's the birthplace of it. And so we develop these coping mechanisms that, like, to help release the anxiety, and sometimes it shows up as obsessive compulsive tendencies. So it's like those racing thoughts, like almost being on a hamster wheel, right? And then
yeah,
also can be in physical habits. So it can, yeah, like be checking things like ticks. Like some people are repetitive movements and stuff like that. So it can show up differently for a lot of different people, and it's obviously a spectrum as well. So it can be more mild, or it can be like very severe, where it's really inhibiting someone's quality of life. Now, what to do about it is up to the individual. It's recognizing, again, it's rooted in control. It's rooted
yeah,
in like feeling that you're in control. And that's what makes the anxiety go away. Technically, it's
yeah,
the feeling that you controlled something, okay,
yeah,
over and over and over again. And so there's different ways to go about it. Some people deal with it with medication. And I'm not here against anything, but recognizing that does not address the underlying cause. And that
yeah,
obsessive compulsive disorder is, people can heal it. And I know multiple people who have overcome it completely through holistic approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy. Some people, it's been energy medicine, hypnosis, and things like that. That again, it's addressing the underlying cause. And I know for me, I've done a lot of work with inner children and people, is this inner child work, and that has
yeah,
helped a lot of people with their obsessions, because it's like their little child wants to be in control. And
yeah,
so they have had a lot of relief from their anxiety and stress and compulsions from dealing with her inner children. So it's this, again, it's not that there's it's not like this is permanent, unless you want it to be, but it's addressing it from a holistic approach of dealing with the need for control around the subconscious stress and old trauma.
Yeah. As the answer was really good and you explained really well, and I will apply those techniques and those things in my life. But it's kind of eating me day by day as I'm growing up. It's really killing my mind, and sometimes when I start thinking about it, it takes my more than 1 hour, 2 hour, or sometimes a day you know so it's really hard, but I'm trying to, and I try to do more work because of this, because I don't want to accomplish that thoughts in and my mind, and over the time it getting stronger, and it's becoming really difficult to get rid out of it. So yeah, I'm trying, and I will see some of the specialists to deal with that. And yeah, it's really suffocating, and I'm really kind of, I don't want to use that word, but it's fucked. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that, because a lot of people feel, I used to have obsessive compulsive tendencies.
Yeah.
Like feeling just the repetitive need to move my shirt a certain way, or, you know what I mean? Like just really weird little things that I would
Yeah.
have to do. Someone in my life very close to me right now, it's cleanliness. Things have to be clean. My grandmother was a hoarder. So she hoarded things. That was obsessive compulsive disorder. She could not
Yeah.
let go of things.
Yeah.
If she did, she would feel this tremendous angst and anxiety. So holding on to
Yeah.
things kept her calm. It wasn't true calm. It was like getting in a pattern of it. And so another modality people don't know about is neurofeedback is another natural
Yeah.
way to help with obsessive compulsive disorder. But people feel a lot of shame around having obsessive compulsive disorder or tendencies because
Yeah.
they think something's wrong with them. There must be
Yeah.
something wrong with them. And that's not the case. There's not something wrong with you. It's simply a brain pattern that you learned early on to cope with anxiety, and it
Yeah.
worked, right? Like it worked
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
minute, right? Like that. Oh, and then so it just reinforces itself. It's like positive reinforcement. Oh, this works, so we're gonna keep doing this, because it's like trying to protect yourself from feeling too much fear, too much anxiety. So to give yourself that grace and empathy of where it comes from, and it's not you.
Okay. So yeah. And there's one more thing.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm pointing out that one more thing. So maybe just because of this live session, but I'm not gonna do it further. But yeah, there's a thing that the inner critic, when someone trying to achieve something, someone try to accomplish something greater, and become the bigger in their life, and to do something which really they want. So there is one negative you, which is stopping you and holding you back. That no, you can't do that. If you do this, it will happen. If you do that, this will happen. So this kind of things really holding us back, and kind of traumatize ourselves. So yeah. So how to deal with that? How to deal with the inner critics? Yeah.
The inner critic, and I get that, because I for as healed as I've been and whatnot, I'm growing my practice international, right? And I deal with the inner critic too, so I resonate with that 100%.
Yeah.
And there is such a thing as imposter syndrome, and
Yeah.
it's so much of our subconscious wiring of what do we think we deserve and what do we think we're worthy of, and to just acknowledge again the inner critic to be what they are. And I see it again coming from a place of trying to protect me from harm.
Yeah.
Trying to protect me from harm, trying to protect me from criticism, trying to protect me from failure, trying to protect me from getting hurt. But again, it's you taking the power and just allowing them. Thank you for showing me that I could get hurt. Thank you for showing me that, this could become complicated or whatever, but I'm going to do this. And I'm going to be
Yeah.
a cheerleader. And
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, it's a lot of writing down positive affirmations. It's a lot of reinforcing the opposite of what the inner critic is saying. And that's me, again, actively engaging in my own process to reinforce and be a cheerleader to myself. Okay, so
Yes.
it's not pushing them away and being like, oh, I hate you, you're blah, 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 or what's wrong with me, or this or that. Understanding it's from like ego, it's coming from a place of probably protection. And thank you, but I'm going to go kick butt at life now. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so for me, it's a lot of doing to connect to my inner cheerleader is what I call it. So connect to your inner cheerleader instead.
Yeah.
I do that through writing it down in a journal. I do it through visualization. I'm a big teacher of visualization. And so I picture myself in those big places that I want to be.
Yeah, I do that too. I do that too. Yeah.
So connecting to that inner cheerleader, thanking the inner critic for watching out for danger, but again, it's strengthening the muscles of the inner cheerleader versus the inner critic. How much time and energy do you spend listening to the inner critic versus your inner cheerleader?
Yeah.
The inner critic is so loud because you've given him or her the microphone. You did that, right?
Yeah.
Like
yes,
that.
yes,
And
yes.
that's not
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just like you've done that for so long. They don't just have a microphone, they have a whole stadium. So it's taking the microphone away from them and being like, I'm going to give that to my inner cheerleader instead and start giving the inner cheerleader the microphone and the stadium. And that's your power. You can do that.
Yeah. So here comes the last question is that what advice would you like to give to the people who want to achieve the inner peace and the inner calm? Yeah.
The inner peace and inner calm advice. There's so much advice, but there's a couple of key things. One is to connect to your joy. I know we talked about that on the panel. Connect to your joy. Do what makes you feel alive, what has you feeling happy. That's you aligning with your spirit and your soul, and only you know what to do that. And we have to be able to connect to our joy in our everyday lives to be able to have a life of peace and calm. Okay, so that's one of the things. And then everything we talked about today about letting go of control. If you want to experience calm and peace, you have got to let go of trying to control what's outside of you. Like you never were and you never will be. So that's the good news. You never will be. So there's no need in striving harder. So to let go of that control and to practice the art of surrendering is how you're going to get to your peace in that way. And then also my very unconventional wisdom of you have to feel all your emotions. And learning to not suppress your emotions, because emotions are energy bodies, and the more you stuff them down, they get caught up in your body, and you're going to have energetic chaos, aka anxiety, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. Okay, and so you have to feel all your emotions. So if you want to live a life of peace and calm, like I've been able to live a pretty good life of peace and calm, is doing that, and then also surrounding yourself with people that lift you up. You have to surround yourself with people who are also your outer cheerleaders, right?
Absolutely.
And you got to have your outer cheerleaders, and being with people that you feel like you can be yourself with. And the more you try to be somebody else other than yourself or try to fit in, the less peace and calm you're going to have. It's going to get more anxiety, more stress. So those are just some. I'm sure I have a whole novel about how to, but those are some ways to achieve peace and calm.
Yeah. So one more question is that are you gonna write a book about yourself or?
Yes, someday I am. I'm actually I started one a little bit. But give me like maybe 3 years, and I'll be coming out with a book, and I'll let you all know about it.
Okay, then I'll take it in person.
Okay, fabulous. And I'm actually going to be. I know right now we're in a pandemic, but I'm going to be doing more public speaking, through Zoom and other things, hopefully in 2021, so that you guys can tune in and learn more.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. So guys, first of all, go and follow Erika. She is the one of the greatest and inspiring person I ever know. So please follow her and give her support and show some love to her. So thank you so much, Erika, for being on the show. I'm so honored to have you on my show. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Did we want to answer some questions from the audience that were in the chat
Yeah, for
box?
sure, for sure. I think they are waiting. So
Oh,
yeah, you can start.
okay, awesome. Let me see. Let's go up here. I think, how should we stay calm in a very disturbing situation? We did that. We did that one. How much
Yeah,
does mental health can affect your career? Mental health can affect your career. Uh, it affects every aspect of your life in the biggest way. Like if you're
yeah,
so depressed that you can't get out of bed, like how are you going to perform at work, right? If you're so anxious that you can't even like look at the computer screen, how are you going to get your task done for work? So I really, mental health affects every aspect of your life in the biggest way, and especially your career, because you're not going to be able to give into it when you're so caught up in how you're feeling and you can't get past that. So mental health can drastically affect your career. Okay.
yeah. There's one more question is that what about being antisocial? Yeah,
And what about being antisocial and is introvert being good or not? Antisocial in the sense of like avoiding people. So this is actually a really good question, or like being an introvert, is it good or not? Let me put this back down. So I actually have a really interesting theory on these things. I don't think extrovert or introvert is good or bad. Like they simply are. However, I think we all have tendencies to be more one or the other. I have a tendency to be more extroverted, but I have a deep need for recharge time as well. So I like need my just Erica on recharge time. But what I've come to find over the years is that some of us go overboard in our tendency to avoid pain. And here's what I
yeah,
mean. Sometimes extroverts, like myself, will be overly social to avoid the pain of being alone and not knowing how to
mm,
cope with being alone. And so, whether the social time is healthy for us or not, it avoids the pain of being alone that I don't know how to deal with at that moment in time. And then on the flip side, for introverts or people being antisocial, that it can go overboard to avoid the pain of things like rejection or vulnerability
yeah,
within a group of people or on one-on-one basis. So what I say for everybody is just check yourself. Like we are the ones who are ultimately responsible for how healthy are we and how much are our habits and our tendencies serving us, right? Because sometimes people, they crawl into a hole and they're like, well, I'm just introverted. No, you've cut off all your relationships. You've cut off your, your community. Like now you're just avoiding. And
yes,
that doesn't mean you're not introverted, but it means you've gone overboard and used that as an excuse to hermit yourself. And then on the
yeah,
flip side, for me, there was a while, I look back at my life and I'm like, I can see how I use extroversion as a crutch a lot of the times because I was just so terrified of being alone that I would overexert myself socially to avoid that quiet and peace of being alone and like
yeah,
the feelings I would experience or the thoughts I would think of being alone. So it's not that I'm not extroverted, but I wasn't balanced in allowing that way, and there were things to heal. So just to keep that in mind, it's like it's not good or bad, but
yeah.
recognizing am I overcompensating and using it in some way, shape, or form as a crutch.
So yeah, I think we are done with the questions.
Yes. Let me see if we have any other questions. You guys have been an amazing audience. So I thank you. If you guys have any other questions, to add them now, or you can DM me. Be happy to talk on there as well. But I think that's all the questions for today. That was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much, Erika, for being on the show, and I'm really honored to have you. And
Thank you
yeah,
so
thank you
much.
so much. It was one of the greatest session I ever have. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I love your enthusiasm. Well, hello to everybody in India and abroad, and thank you guys so much for having me and letting me talk today.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, then. Hope we'll collab in future and do come with another live session. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Shubham. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye,
Bye
everybody.
bye.